Hello, and welcome to Ruth Reacts to Books. I'm your host, Ruxie Ruth McGouth, and this is Season 2, Episode 38. And today I'm reacting to Heartless by Marissa Meyer. So I gave this book 5 stars. It was so good. I'm going to read the front cover of the book. Then I will tell you what I liked, what I didn't like. I'll tell you the food that I have given a recipe for, and I'll tell you about my nails and why I'm wearing them, how I associated them with this book. So a little bit about the author. Marissa Meyer has another series that I also really love. I don't know. I think I probably have at least one Ruth Reacts out about one of her other books. She likes to take fairy tales and like give them a spin. So she has another series of like 4 books that take different fairy tales and bring all the characters together into like this epic adventure. The first one is called Cinder, so it's a different series. This one's just a standalone book called Heartless. And so it does not link up with any other books. However, you'll see it does link up with another book that someone else wrote, but this is Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and you'll know instantly who it links up with. So, all right. In Heartless, the nonsense that is Wonderland gets a reverential makeover, full of heart and its own idiosyncratic character. Catherine may be one of the most desired girls in Wonderland and a favorite of the unmarried king, but her interests lie elsewhere. A talented baker, she wants to open a shop and create delectable pastries. But for her mother, such a goal is unthinkable for a woman who could be a queen. At a royal ball where Kath is expected to receive the king's marriage proposal, she meets a handsome, young, mysterious Jest. For the first time, she feels the pull of true attraction. At the risk of offending the king and infuriating her parents, she and Jest enter into a secret courtship. Kath is determined to choose her own destiny, but in a land thriving with magic, madness, and monsters, fate has other plans. So, you can see that this book takes place in Wonderland. And so this is the story of the queen, how she becomes the queen. So, I knew that going into this book. I knew that that was what this was about. And I think like that, I don't know. Didn't really tell you that in this little snippet, but there's other snippets that I'd read where so I knew that this was the story of the person who became the queen of Wonderland, and the person who in Alice in Wonderland is the queen that says off with her head. So that was a little spoiler from what's in here, but it's well known that that's what this book is about. Now, Alice in Wonderland is hopefully you've read that book. I'm reading that book out loud. There's a Ruth Reads series that you can go out and find where I think I've read up to chapter 9 or so in Alice in Wonderland out there. With a not so great British accent when I do my Alice character, but it's okay. Americans might think it was all right. So in this book, I give it 5 stars. I really liked it. I think this author's like super brilliant. I think they did an amazing job. I thought they really brought the characters to life more. Lewis Carroll's book is super cool. Really introduces you to the ideas of the Alice in Wonderland world and all of the things that are happening there, the really wacky ideas. And this just brings the people really to life, like gives them backstory, and you get to see behind the curtain of all these people who you briefly meet in snippets, because most of Alice in Wonderland you're following Alice, right? Well, Alice is not in this. This is well before Alice appears on scene. But you're hearing much more about things. And so the characters, it was cool to see their backstories and hear about them. I felt like some of the other things that I really liked is the kind of tense weirdness that there was for me around like the fact that I knew what was going to happen, even though I didn't want that to be what was going to happen, because like you come to really love the character, even though you know that you don't love her later. And then she's like not a good character in the other book. She's like a terrible character. But in this book, you like really rooting for her because you don't want her to have to become the queen because she doesn't want to be the queen, as you could hear. And she seems so nice, and you want different things for her than what you know is going to happen. And so like the entire book, you're kind of like, wait, maybe something else is going to happen, even though you know for sure it's not because you've read the other book. So that was like a super weird, like kind of juxtaposition that was sort of really interesting and weird. I did they really drew a lot of details from Alice in Wonderland that I thought was really cool. Like there's a scene in Alice in Wonderland where Alice goes to this one house and like the cook has made food with like way too much pepper, and there's like that's drawn into here too. So like I felt like she did a really good job of really pulling like lots of pieces in. I mean, I gave it 5 stars. There wasn't a lot that I didn't like about it. The only thing I don't like is like the inevitable truth, right? At the end, you know what's going to happen. And so I wanted to, like, my daughter and I went recently-ish we went and saw a musical called Hadestown. Has nothing to do with this book, but I thought it was very similar in a way. In Hadestown, it's about an ancient kind of Greek myth where it doesn't go well. The lovers don't make it to the end together. And so you're really rooting for them this whole time and you want them to make it to the end, but for sure they don't. And at the end, there was a line that said like, but because here's the thing, to know how it ends and still begin to sing it again, as if it might turn out this time. I learned that from a friend of mine. And I really liked that line because it's like kind of like, this hopefulness, even though we know for sure that there's not hope, but we still hope anyway, even when we're reading something like this. And I don't know, it was so good that it made you hope, even though you knew there wasn't any hope for that. So worth it. Super good read. The food that I paired with this book was mock turtle soup, a vegetarian version. Now you could always put ground beef instead of the vegetarian ground beef that it has in this recipe, but in the book, there is a whole very incredibly interesting portion of it that has to do with this mock turtle situation that happens. You will know if you've read it what I'm talking about. And so that's why mock turtle soup came up, and I did not even know that was a real thing. It is. Apparently it was created in England in the mid 18th century as a more affordable option, mock turtle soup instead of turtle soup, because apparently turtle was very expensive, which I didn't even know that anyone ate turtle. Apparently people used to, and it was very fancy. So then instead of using turtle meat, they would use calf's head, or ground beef, which is more normal. And apparently it's still enjoyed today, mock turtle soup, in places like Germany and Cincinnati, Ohio. Kind of random. But apparently in Ohio, they like their mock turtle soup. So got a mock turtle soup recipe for you. It's vegetarian, but feel free to add some meat if you're a meat eater. Just throw some beef in there. And then my nails. So I've got roses. They're red. They do a very nice job of explaining, and it's kind of classic, and it's at the end, and I didn't even catch on to it until the very end, and I'm like, oh my God, that's why she wants to paint the roses red. So it was so good. It's such a good little twist there. So I have these roses. This one's called Lady of the Estate. So it's like a white nail with pinkish red roses. Very pretty. Very classic. So that's what I've got for you here. Great book. Highly recommend. Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Great author. I'm probably going to read everything she writes because she's so good. Young adult author, but so easy to read. Fun. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye.